The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as we always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us, and we are not just talking about the original inhabitants of Trinidad. I don't know if it's and Tobago, if it's just Trinidad, but the Tainos and the Kalinagos, because we all know, accept, reiterate, and they say it with the chest that Columbus lied, but also to our brother in music, Tony P, where the P this week stands for...
Parency, like.
What?
Parency. Like transparency.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I find plenty of people disappearing now.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's our...
Yeah. It's also a pun on parenting. And people disappearing having something to do with somebody parenting that's involved. But we could get into that.
Yeah, that's a real layered one, but I like that.
Yeah, layered guy. No.
Yeah, onion.
Well, I mean, more like poultry.
What?
Layers. And anyway, whatever. Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead. I coffee deprived. I'm coffee deprived.
Clearly.
Don't do that.
Wow. Imagine layers like poultry.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
you say eggs?
Hey, yes. Aaron, don't you?
Not eggs of wisdom, huh?
Don't you?
Not nuggets and eggs of wisdom.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well,
I see the road he was trying to go down there.
I withdraw
but
my
statement. I was not going down that road with you today.
Considered withdrawn.
Just like I didn't. Here a question for the people in Tobago that is listening to WAC. In Scarborough, it have a road between the T&Tech compound and our next building. I don't know the next building, right? But that road it reversed. So like if you're going up the road and you swing onto it and you swing right, you have to stay on the right side of the road. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Okado, if you make a right turn, you have to go to the left, to the drive all be on the inside. On the inside between the two lanes. On that road in Tobago, opposite.
Yeah.
That one road.
People had the reasons.
I don't know, it was just weird.
Yeah, but you're asking them for a comment or a question?
I was asking what's the reason for that, because when I swing onto the road, I automatically went to the left side of the road. Mm-hmm. But then oncoming traffic dictated I go to the right.
All right, Mr.
It was just weird to me, honestly. So if you are listening to us in the sister Isle of Tobago, get in the comments on YouTube live now on WAC 90.1 FM, or if you're watching this subsequently on DJ Aaron 868's YouTube channel on the Living Room playlist. Right. Get in the comments and explain to me why that one road in Scarborough is reversed.
Yeah, could appreciate that. So, having mentioned where they could find the program, let us do better than we did last time and introduce
at least at the start of it.
At least somewhere in the first half.
Yeah. This is the Living Room with yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code, and I sit here alongside my bro with no fro, a lot of flow, and he's always on the go.
Okay, all right. You know, promotion and thing. Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage and the global stage.
I didn't say it now. By next month, I'll have our next line after the Olympics.
Next month, you'll have our next line after your age.
Yeah, boy, getting down there. For the I'm gonna start to say it from now. I will be on vacation from the air from next week Tuesday for a week and a half.
So
next week
we record next week Tuesday?
Yeah,
you're missing from next week Tuesday.
I'm missing from next week Tuesday.
Okay. Are you going to Palance?
I'm actually taking a well-deserved vacation.
Okay. Cool. So you're going to disappear too?
Yeah, I've worked hard on but I'm disappearing with proper communication to persons as to my whereabouts. Right? And that is the unfortunate reality that we sit in right now, because every day when you open the social media platforms, not the police, the hunters, I don't know if the Hunters Association.
Oh, it's not Hunter Search and Rescue Team?
Yeah, right. Hunter Search and Rescue Team has been putting out a myriad of posts on a daily basis for missing persons here in the state of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
I have to commend the Hunter Search and Rescue Team for the human service that they do.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if the government funded, I'm not too sure. But I'm just saying, Hunter Search and Rescue is one of those organizations in Trinidad and Tobago that deserves a national award or some sort of recognition for the work that they do.
Hey, recognition is cute, I want them to get some funding.
Well, that was my next angle I was going at. Because we had to get them the recognition first. And I don't even want the government to get them funding, I want corporate Trinidad and Tobago. All the people who just talk about the GPS companies and the security firms and all these people, I want them to invest in Hunters Search and Rescue. Because if your company is boasting to be the best in terms of, let's say, finding back a stolen vehicle
retrieving,
or the best in terms of private detection to find out who husband horning who,
personal investigations, right?
I just using the colloquial terms. Thank you very much, professional translator.
You're welcome, sir.
Right? Or the best to find out whose companies are abusing employees by making them work extra hours. You do one for that one?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there, you make my occupational abuse.
Thank you very much.
There's a thing?
Probably.
Employee abuse?
Employee abuse. Or even for those who still choose to object themselves to meeting persons in questionable locations to purchase items from Facebook Marketplace.
Well, one, subject yourself, and two, listen, the share malarkey.
I purposefully use abject.
Abject? All right, I'm gonna look up all of that. But imagine police. The P this week is for police, right? Getting caught in these risky Facebook and social media transactions. Right? A young police officer or policewoman, if I'm not mistaken, 25 years old, going to sell a phone, and the man hit an envelope of 20 singles and snatched the phone and run off. 20 singles. You understand? This is a policewoman. These are the same people who telling us with all the announcements about meeting people in places and be conducting transactions and etc. has fallen victim to the thing that they warning us about. So, in terms of the transparency of it all, I would have liked to see the TTPS come out and make a statement saying, guys, this is exactly what it is we're talking about. It can happen to us.
They're not going to do that because that puts them in a position of vulnerability.
But they're in it already?
Because if we are the ones that's supposed to enforce the law after 6 to 8 weeks of training in the barrack, as opposed to 6 to 8 years that it takes a lawyer to pass the bar.
Or even the months it would take for you to apply or to go through police academy, etc. Anyway,
right?
This is me actively listening.
Right? But what I'm saying is that puts them in a position of vulnerability that, wait now, we are just like you. We as the police making the same mistakes that you as the people making too. They don't want that. They want the police to be held to a higher standard. but yet still they make the same mistakes. How we fixing that? I have our next interesting question to ask, but I'll save that for later down inside the program.
I just impressed with your archaic but accurate use of the term abject as a verb. Not bad, sir. Not bad at all.
you was using the dictionary to figure out if I said the right thing.
So what I'm saying is I'm impressed.
But last week when I said histocyclopedia for Dominic Calipasad, you didn't take that on though.
No, I was that's between you and the Lord. I'm not going in that.
No, but that's a real serious thing. And I think it's a serious problem that we have in society today. That those in the positions of power, or as the colloquial man would say, those are the higher echelons of society.
Hold on. The higher what?
Orthrolances.
Is no.
I'm putting emphasis on the wrong letter.
Is echelons you was talking about it?
Echelons, yes.
No, echelons. ECH.
Echelons, yes.
All right,
yes.
nice.
I was putting emphasis in the wrong place to drive my point home.
You drive that point somewhere else. It definitely didn't go home.
I drive it on the wrong side of the road in Tobago.
Well done,
exactly.
sir. Mm-hmm. That's a Tiantec Tobago road drive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well done. Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, those in the higher echelons of society try to come and say, oh, gosh.
You go ahead.
Thank you.
I've just have an expressive face.
Yeah, I realize that. Right? But what I'm trying to say is, those in positions of power try to say, I good enough. I feel we could just wrap up the show right here. We could just wrap up right here. I'm done. I'm going home.
So you abandon the echelons and decide to just go in positions of power.
Because that was the first part of my statement. So I just brought that back up.
Right. So let me this is me letting you continue, sir.
Yeah,
right. Those are the upper echelons of power.
Right. As said society, those in the positions of power, they try to make it out like they are not askew to the same level of they are askew of the same level of standards to the rest of the population.
Right.
They don't make the same mistakes as us.
Right.
They don't forget upon the seatbelt.
Right.
They don't litter. They don't do anything wrong. But yet still they could cast judgment on me, who might throw my Apple core out of my car.
Biodegradable, right?
They will cast judgment on me because I can't afford to buy new tires for my car, so I buy a foreign new tire that might just be a little smooth. But yet still, you will see a police car driving wrong with 2 blown tail lights. But that's okay because that's the police. But if you see me in a roadblock, I on the side of the road getting a ticket for ID light in my car that blew. From a policeman who car have 2 malfunctioning tail lights.
Right.
Make sense.
The bumper tie strap onto the vehicle.
Tie strap, brother man. They use bonding wire.
Yeah.
Or not even bonding wire. And you know the green wire? You ever decorate a Christmas tree? You know the green wire that is used to tie up things? The little thin green wire?
Wow. Yeah.
That is what they're using. Or they use 2 twister. Like where this close back your bread with.
Bread bag?
Yeah.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, I understand that there's a need to enforce law. But the law should not just be enforced for the average man. The law should be enforced for us all, no matter from president to, and excuse this term, from president to piper.
From priest to prisoner.
Thank you. Don't charge me for peeing on the side of the road.
They should charge us for peeing on the side of the road.
Well, they should, but but understand what? Let me finish my point.
Nah, I just find as I get older, go about it.
Yeah,
convenience, but it's a class.
But I understand that. But what I'm saying is, don't charge me for peeing at the side of the road if you don't have public access to public toilets.
Noted. Oh, by the way, big up San Fernando and that public
Yeah, San Fernando.
toilet
Yeah, boy.
facility.
On the promenade opposite what used to be Eden Center.
Yeah, downstairs.
That
the
looked like
reference
it going
library.
and open back,
Yeah, plenty was going on that side.
right? But yet still it flooding.
What flooded?
I saw
Eden Center?
no San Fernando as a whole. I saw some places in San Fernando flood yesterday. And my next point as well. I see last week when we had all the rain, the Caroni River, as usual, it will, as they say, the river will come down, right? But it was coming down with plenty garbage.
Garbage.
Thank you. And persons were saying, we need to stop appealing to person's personal responsibility, and we need to put in those the
mesh, the
mesh,
traps. Yeah. The plastic bottle traps, yeah.
But the question still remains, who go in and clean the traps if we put it in? Or even worse, we still need to appeal to personal responsibility if we put in the traps, because the traps go in and get full. Understand this, listeners. Regardless of what measures or what mitigating methods are put in place, there's still a level of personal responsibility we as the citizenry of the world need to exercise.
Yeah.
If every time I drink a bottle of water, I throw away a cap, 100 caps going and fill the mesh, As opposed to, you know what? Let me put the cap on the bottle and leave the bottle on my seat. And when I reach home, I'll throw it in the garbage at home.
Hopefully recycling, but...
Yeah. Or when I go to wash my car, they will take it and throw it away there. What I'm saying is that level of responsibility, we need to ensure that we don't litter.
Big up all the car washmen. Big up all the car washmen who is, properly dispose of other people's trash. All they are important parts of the not littering ecosystem. Thank you.
Right? So, just like how we have a responsibility for ensuring that when the river come down, it do come down with 35 pounds of garbage in it, or garbage.
Garbage, yeah.
Just like how we have a personal responsibility to ensure that what we consume edifies us on a daily basis to some extent.
Man say edifies, That's when it edify and educate at the same time now.
Exactly. It's a marrying.
A marriage.
Just like how we have a level of personal responsibility to ensure that the relationships that we build in life with our spouses and our children are fruitful. Not just in terms of fruitful as what we teach them, but what we learn from them as well.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we have a level of personal responsibility for. And not to forget the level of personal responsibility that we have to hold persons in positions of power accountable to their actions, if it's by the democratic process or by writing letters to let them know where they are falling short and documenting it.
Yeah.
That is a level of personal responsibility. But you know what? We rather just keep putting in mitigating factors. We forget that we the people, we the citizenry are the most important tool in society. We forget that, But you know what? We like to pass the blame. We pass the buck. We pass the problems. We pass it on to the next person, to the next generation, without trying to make a dent in fixing that problem today. Let me drink some water after that.
Yeah, give me. But you had to do more than drink a bottle of water the way you offload, yes? You're not tired, bro. I'm tired. It's not only me tired. You tired too. Plenty of people tired, frustrated. And to be honest with you, you had to ask yourself the real question here. We seeing the direction things heading and the way that they're going on unfolding. Right? You see that personal responsibility thing, we'll continue to push that as best as we can. We let go that pass in the buck thing long time because we recognize that systems and structure, even if in place, they're not applied, they're not utilized properly. right? Personal responsibility can only get you so far. All talks at aside as well, because it's not like we could pick up ourselves and go and clean every drain or pick up on every beach. And what's the point in you doing that work and then somebody else gonna come with absent personal responsibility and then littering by the time you finish clean?
Or while you're cleaning.
While you're cleaning, right? You can't make any progress that way. So what we need is really that combination of political will, right? Application, structure and system, personal responsibility. We need a payload of efforts for this thing to work. Right? One of the ingredients of that particular payload for me is parenting. You know, I've always said it. My top 3 favorite people are good parents, good teachers, and number 3 is floating for whoever I impressed by at that point in time.
So Aaron, right?
Yeah, you know, Aaron, you could definitely hold a spot somewhere in the top 17. I guarantee you that you're in the top 17. Top 17, sure.
It's top 17.
Top 17, sure. Right.
17 is such an arbitrary number, but I'll take it.
I have an affinity for prime numbers. So what you gonna do? One of the things I have been looking at in terms of parenting is that we have 2 extremes in Trinidad and Tobago. We have people who phone in parenting, and then we have helicopter parenting. We had the people who leave the parenting of their offspring up to every and anybody else who are available. Sometimes it's sheer negligence, other times it's because they have no choice but to do so. You need to work out how to buy a loaf of bread.
Because of the system, the capitalist system.
Right. Fair. Fine. At the end of the day, the capitalist system also employs a lot of the people who would rage against it. So,
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. So now I had to work a job and a half or 2 jobs to mind my child. Where the time coming for that? So there are things that, and a lot of the families are single parent families. Even if we have parents, both parents in a family, that don't mean is both are good or even competent parents. Right? We have kids who are being raised. We have a generation of leaders who are being raised remotely. And on the other extreme, we have the helicopter parents who hovering over the children every move to have them in packaged so properly in these bubbles that they have no idea. They have those social antibodies. They have no idea how to interact with the real world, and any interaction with the real world is they have them in jeopardy because they've not developed any social antibodies, right? And then being placed in positions of leadership with the privilege that comes from being in these bubble-wrapped upbringings. They are now leaders of systems that they don't understand the impacts of because they've never been impacted themselves.
I have a interesting paradigmal point. I don't know if paradigmal is a word.
You know what? It might be paradigm shifting or it could be paradoxical. But
is it that if I create an environment, right?
Yeah.
I know we like to tout 2 things we like to tout around right now on this wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Goat, who's the goat?
Right.
And privilege.
Mm-hmm.
If I work hard to create an environment for me, is that a privilege or is that a fruit of my labor?
Being the recipient of fruit is a privilege because there are a lot of people who planting and putting in work and what they're putting in don't bear.
Right. No, okay. Let me go a little bit deeper here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you and I, Ricardo, work the same job.
Yeah.
Right? We live next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Both of us have no children,
Mm-hmm.
no responsibilities, anything
Right.
of that sort, right?
Yeah.
We work for the same salary.
Mm-hmm.
But yet still, I am able to renovate my home as opposed to you doing the same, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it that I am privileged to have an updated home? Or is it that the choices that I made gave me that?
No. You reaping your harvest. The choices have consequences, right?
So now that I pose that, and that is something that we now have there.
Mm-hmm.
So is it that if I chose I don't want to say to wrap my children in a bubble wrap, like
Right.
Bubble Boy the movie. But if I choose to say I'm going to sacrifice and let's say put my children in private school as opposed to sending them to public school, is that a privilege or a fruit of a labor?
No, even if it's a privilege, what make you think a privilege is not a fruit of labor?
Right. Now it gets to my point. If somebody works hard to afford something, is it a fruit of the labor or is it a privilege? Because we like to say a man who work hard and buy a car, he privileged to drive to work.
Right.
But yet still, he worked hard to purchase a vehicle and made a choice to purchase that vehicle. Whereas somebody else may have the same standard, or I shouldn't say standard, but have the same lifestyle, but choose to continue to travel.
I will answer
So
your question.
I just asking.
I will answer your question with a question. Right? Where does the connotation that privilege is negative come from?
Society again.
Anything you could, any word you present in the history of words, you could relate to society. Where does the negative connotation of the word privilege come from?
I've seen it most times in terms of that negative connotation via social media platforms.
Right.
Yeah.
But what is the motivation for privilege being considered negative?
I don't want to say separate, not segregation. That's from my.
That's a nice place to start. Let me explore this, right? The idea that privilege is a bad thing only exists in the minds of people who believe they are not benefiting from it.
Right.
Only the people who don't feel privileged identify privilege as being a bad thing. The idea that being privileged is a negative thing is a faulty idea in and of itself.
So basically, as they would say, comparison is the thief of joy.
One.
So if let's say, and this is a real life example I'm hitting you here, I have a neighbor that considers me privileged because I would say I purchased a vehicle. Right? Now, and the reason that it came out is because I came home and there's a parking problem on my street. And I've always taken the high road in this problem of making sure to park in my driveway. A day I came home and I was going to rush back out. I said, I'm going to park on the road because I'm leaving in about 10 to 15 minutes. And all the neighbors on the other side of the street came and did their usual thing and park in the road and block the road. So when this gentleman was coming home, he was not able to go to his abode because me who reached first park on my side and the people who came after park and block the road.
Yeah, but you park on your side blocking the road.
Yeah, right? But again,
you realize you park on your side, but them park on their side blocking the road.
Yeah, right?
Your side is not the left-hand side if you're driving onto the street.
Yeah.
So you park in the lane that a car would pass.
Right.
I just wanted to observe that you park on your side, but them park on their side blocking the road.
No, I will say I'm wrong, but my thing is,
so everybody
if you, I'm a thing. So if you come and see me park on my side of the road, and then you come and park and double park essentially and block the road.
Right, yeah.
You're not making sense. Park lower down so somebody else could meander through park vehicles.
So we had some 36 parking then.
Right. So the gentleman now, and again, I come outside now ready to go. And he start, because you feel you buy new car, you privileged to block the road and that the average man can't thing. And I am standing there. How is me purchasing a new vehicle a privilege to block the road? He may have, and this is our next part of it too, the use of the word privilege, it is commonly misused at times.
Well, we are a nation that commonly misuses words. right? But this is the point that I'm trying to make, right? Even the concept of privilege generally comes from an unhealthy place. And the reason I'm saying that is because a privilege is a responsibility as well. It's not just about the benefit of privilege, it is about the responsibility of privilege. So the question I would ask you, Aaron, right? The dangers of privilege is that if you work hard and you buy a car, many of the things that facilitated you being able to buy that car were completely out of your control. I am not saying that you had no impact or no influence. I'm saying that many of the factors that even made it possible were from positions of privilege. And the reason I will say that is because in Trinidad and Tobago, let us be frank, right? Twins will come up in the same house, under the same parenting, with the same access to resources, and turn out differently.
Two totally different people.
Right? So even between nature and nurture, there's still also choice. Right? People make decisions. The consequences of those decisions could either benefit or obstruct. So bear with me. Being subject to the same environment does not guarantee the same results, even with access to the same resources. So we have to acknowledge that the positive benefits of having access to resources is in itself a degree of privilege. There are people who would not have had that benefit, and it had nothing to do with any decisions that they make. So while you might have worked hard to position yourself to buy a car, even if that was all 100% Aaron, your offspring having access to daddy car, while it's a fruit, it's not a fruit of their labor, it's a fruit of yours.
Yeah.
So it's privilege. So even if it wasn't privilege, it became privilege.
Right.
Right. Is it a bad thing? No. But here the catch with this, right? They now, having never worked to purchase a car and having access to the vehicle, are
Don't
they
understand the
removed?
value.
Right. So now, how are they to understand the responsibility of using this thing properly when they don't have the appreciation for its value? So now we already see that privilege comes with a cost. There's a compromise to value once privilege has been involved. So here the catch with this now, and we're going down the road a little bit again. If they bounce somebody else's car with their understanding of the value of this vehicle and the privilege and the responsibility that they have, are they now to assume that the person car that they hit, that they could go home and tell mommy and daddy, well, look, the car get bounced, and mommy and daddy who have insurance for the car are going to see about it? Or might they bounce up somebody who now, through their own merit, purchasing their vehicle absent privilege? So now you might meet somebody in an exchange and an intersection where they have a different perspective. Two people driving cars end up in an accident. One had the privilege of receiving this car. One is now trying to establish privilege. You have now robbed my kids the opportunity to have privilege because of what you have deprived me while I am earning it. Privilege is a complicated thing. So now I look at you having been the recipient of something that I am trying to do, and I view your privilege negatively. So when I speak of privilege now, I speak of something that while I'm aspiring to it, I do not have it or have not yet benefited from it. In short, sometimes it's just sour grapes that makes us think that privilege is a bad thing when all of us trying to really get better and do better and live better. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us. Now here, I just want to close with a final analogy as to the importance of understanding why barrel parenting and Bubblewrap parenting are two extremes that cannot produce any good. If you spend your entire life, right, keeping your kids away from animals,
I feel personally attacked here, but go ahead.
right, they're allergic to dogs, they don't like cats, you're afraid leptospirosis, right? Creepy things that make them feel icky. What I mean is that whatever reason, you protect your children from the different experiences that animals present them.
Mm-hmm.
So they spend their entire life aware of animals, not having ever actually interacted with any of them. So all they have is an intellectual experience of them. And then you make them manager of a zoo. How do you think they are going to treat the animals?
Polly?
So I am not going to go any further. I'm going to leave
Unless,
that right there. Mhm.
and that's the next part of this thing, unless you are you all know I always talk about it. I live by the mantra that the day you stop learning is the day you begin to die.
Mhm.
Right?
I love that. I like it. I really.
And just like how Sunday I learned about that one weird road in Tobago.
Mhm.
If I was, and I'm going to put this in a real life scenario as well, if I was now hired to be traffic management in Scarborough,
Right.
not knowing anything about it, my first mission might be, let me change the flow.
Right.
But then again, going into that position, I have to now wonder and ask the question to understand why things are the way that they are before I attempt to change.
Right.
It could be that because one way going this way, and when you turn, you want to keep you on this side because the one way on the other side coming down this way. So when you think it, so it wouldn't be a cross section for easy flow of traffic.
Right.
The catch in it is, even if you are brought up with a helicopter style parent,
Mhm.
or what's the other one they call it?
The remote.
Remote.
Mhm.
A remote or a hoverer.
Mhm.
Remote, either one of them.
Barrel or
When-
bubble wrap. Let me call it barrel or
Exactly.
bubble wrap.
Thank you. I like the B's. I like the alliteration.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, despite the method of parenting which you are brought up with, when you get to that part of your life where you are now going to be responsible for making your own choices and decisions, you have access to information your parents never had access to.
You know how.
At your fingertips,
Do you have privilege?
right? And this is one thing I've always learned, and I still continue to learn on a daily basis. And this is in no way a slight at the elders in the workplace. Programs like Excel and Microsoft Word are there to make jobs easier. The same way how all of us are in the workplace, let us now start to make informed decisions. If we're doing the same thing every day to move this pen from here to here to here to here, when the young person comes in the workplace and they decide, you know what, instead of moving 4 pens individually, let's move all 4 together at the same time. It's the same end result. But you have to allow change to take place.
Yeah.
You have to understand that through time, things will evolve. The same way how we was using cars before, which air condition was a luxury.
Right. Wind up window. The
Wind
automatic
up windows. Right?
Now you have handle and thing.
Now you have power windows,
Power
and
windows,
you're happy.
Power steering
On
was
power
selective.
but watch now. I remember hope my father ain't listening. When you started watch when we had the Cortina. If you know what Cortina is, you know thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Right? And he let me start the car and turn the wheel. And he had to pull and pull and pull.
You had to lean in it.
You had to lean with it.
Yeah.
No, or as Cohen Robert say, had to tilt.
Yeah.
No. You just could. And watch me, sometimes you don't even need the whole hand, you know. You could use the 2 fingers on the inside of the wheel and just.
Aaron, big up, Jason But I telling it how men out here selling cars that you'll press a button and they will park for themselves.
I
You understand what I'm telling you? We going from power steering being a luxury to you could press a button and the wheel turning for itself to reverse park your car, you know.
I'm just saying, I understand that.
It's frightening you.
I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, you about to transform my life.
And that's the thing, despite
roll out.
right, I honestly I am terrified of Teslas. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, this isn't even a Tesla. I talk about it in Trinidad.
I know that. It had Teslas in Trinidad. What are you saying?
Hey, I don't know. I don't watch car. One of these days, I will bring Jason to come and tell you about these
Yeah?
Optimus Prime and them.
but what I'm saying honestly is, even if you are in a position where you have the information and you have access to process, not just access, you are able to process this information, because having information is one thing. The ability to process it is something totally different, right? You are still guided by a level of fear or openness to try based on the environment.
Right.
Because just like how Cardo talk about that car that parking itself, I am still terrified when I hear cars changing lanes and they're pulling you back into the lane. So you let me properly explain what I'm talking about. You change lane without indicating and the car pulling you back in the original lane.
Right, because as far as the car is concerned, you have not signaled that your intent was to change lane.
Exactly.
So it is applying a corrective measure.
A mitigating method. Remember we talked about that earlier. Your personal responsibility is to put on your indicator to inform the cars around you that you are changing lanes. But because of bad habits and malpractice, it is just switch lanes.
Right.
Now the car is telling you and reminding you with correcting measures that if you switch lanes without notifying not just me, the car, but the drivers around you, I pulling you back to where you're supposed to be.
Right.
Again, this is the world that we live in. The Ford that we drove in 1986 is not the same Ford we driving today.
Hey. As I say that should be what parenting is. That should be what systems, government systems should do. There should be things that correct our behavior, not just to preserve self, but also with a mind to how it affects society.
And I'm using the car example because that's where we are right now. But if the methods or the methodology which is used as the standard for analyzing data is still a Cortina in 1986, how we expect that to work in 2024?
Right. Now, before anybody feels this is an ageist attack and that we have anything against the elderly, I want to acknowledge how easy it is to fall into these traps. First and foremost, big up Biden on stepping aside and allowing his vice president to become the Democratic candidate for the upcoming elections.
He didn't retire?
No, he's still the president. He's just he removed himself from re-election.
Understand the question. Did he retire from politics on the whole, or did he just step aside?
I don't believe that he is retired from politics. He still has a term to finish serve. I think he will always be a president of the United States of America. I believe that he has stepped aside and allowed future leadership and opportunity to lead.
Because I saw a post the other day that congratulating him on his retirement.
When
I just hear he decided not to run.
You know what, Aaron? Let me tell you something. I just see a post every time I walk past the gate. Right? At the end of the day, is what you decide to pay attention to. Yeah, that was a pun on post. Now, what
have I subjected myself to today, boy?
Listen, I still coffee deprived, you know. So here the funny thing with it, right? Now, in fairness to philosophical conversation, I want to point out that while I highlighted the dangers of the Bubblewrap parenting, in terms of how it affects privilege and system, right? I use the example of you protect your child from animals for its entire life, for their entire life, his or her entire life. Yeah, let me use his or her. And then you put them in charge of managing the zoo, right? So now all they have is an intellectual experience of the animals, right? They have no idea how many different personalities each of these different types of animals might have. They have no idea of what the actual needs are. They have no idea how to care for them. They know how to manage them, not care for them. Now, on the other hand, we have people who love animals. They raise them on a farm, right? They had pets. They know animals. They know you had to get up and you had to feed them. You know, you had to love them. You had to take them to the vet. You know, you have to make sure that they're healthy and, you know, that they have, you know, quality lives. You also understand that in certain elements of farming, they'll go through a life cycle. In certain pet parenting and thing, you realize you might have a pet for 15 years and then it die. You will have developed a level of intimacy and an intimate understanding and knowledge of animals, right? Whether it's in a residential or in a commercial capacity. And then you take this person, right, who all they know is animals, and you put them to manage a zoo. The animals will be loved and adored and treated as well as they can. But does this person understand management? Does this person understand contracts and labor and HR and sponsorship and financing and grants? And does this person understand what it takes to not just take care of the animals, but to manage the system that takes care of the animals? Right? They have this. It's like all you know is the road now, right? Because you've had access to the road, but you've never been disciplined or corrected or steered or directed in a direction that will allow you to be able to do something other than just know the road. So we have people who only know the road, people who don't know the road, and either one of them is a poor fit for road management. You need people who understand how to walk the road as well as repair it.
And drive on it.
Right? What I'm saying is that if you have adopted, for whatever reason your experiences might have been, a parenting style that is extreme, the question is, for you to groom somebody for leadership, they're going to have to be exposed to the elements of the side that you kept them from, voluntarily or not.
Are you speaking of proper succession planning here?
I'm saying that for proper succession planning, you have to understand what you are taking over as well as for whom you are doing it. Because we have too many people in leadership positions who don't know the people that they're dealing with, because they went to schools in places where the only accents they heard were British and American. So as far as they're concerned, when they're in a workplace with a culture of people that they've never met until the workplace, they only know them as help.
I'm going to throw out a real left-sided comment here. But how do they end up in those positions of leadership? Is not that from privilege?
Hey, no. Some of these people work very hard and fought against even more privileged people to end up in it. Yeah, even within privilege.
It have layers of privilege.
Right.
And you see, that's the thing. What I don't think a lot of us tend to understand, despite the fact that we live in a capitalist world, there are still places where classism or privilegism is more utilized than capitalism.
The elitism is a thing.
Well,
I will never forget.
I'm not going to say that's the next thing. We tend to forget that part, you know.
I will never forget when Shaq say, it was either Shaq or Jordan, one of the two of them, I can't remember who it was. Somebody telling me that he rich. He say, I rich? I say, but the man who pays me is wealthy. You understand? It had layers to this thing. So even when we
it's like an onion.
Well, if we start looking at privilege as being a bad thing, well, then what are we aspiring to for ourselves and our children?
I want to be privileged.
Right?
To be able to work from home every day where I could work in short pants.
So what are you curious about then is if you are not aspiring to create privilege, well then what are you aspiring to?
And I'm gonna bring back the wow.
What are you? Is it just going to be a legacy of lack?
Now I'm gonna bring back the examples which I alluded to earlier.
Mhm.
For me, I want to live in a position of privilege where I have healthy relationships,
Mhm.
where I live a healthy lifestyle,
Yeah.
where I'm able to work not just at my own convenience, but sometimes from my own locations. Right? That's the privilege that I am aspiring to. But for me to get to those privileges, I need to work hard. Yes, sometimes the environment that you are in will assist. But sometimes to get to that environment, you need to put in the work to get there, which requires the choice sometimes for you to step away from your current environment and go somewhere new. We always talk about the change between the person you are and the person that you want to become. It's an uncomfortable place. But discomfort is the place where progress happens. Are you willing to put yourself through that discomfort? Will Smith said, upon trying to, think was skydive, that before he jumped out of the plane, he was afraid. But when he jumped out, that enjoyment, that rush, brought him joy. Are you, and I know skydiving might be the wrong metaphor here, but what I'm saying is, are you going to take that leap of faith? Are you going to try to find love again? Are you going to send out that next application, that next job application? Are you going to realize that you are in a workplace that is a toxic environment? And I know we like to talk about just throw the word toxic around. But a place where you are being taken advantage of in a system that is not properly equipped to do a job, but yet still you are demanded to produce on a daily basis. Are you going to send that email to explain to the management of that company that things need to change if the level of productivity needs to increase? That level of discomfort in that thought process to make that step to do better, are you ready to take that step? And that is something that I want you, the listeners today on WAC 90.1 FM, to walk away with from today's program. Are you ready to take that uncomfortable step to get to a better place?
If you are not trying to establish privilege, what is the legacy you are creating? If you
We
are
call
not
it a legacy of what?
lack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not lack as in the Indian currency. Yeah? Just
No,
say.
no. Because it be having that, fellas be making them with the lacks. What I'm saying is that if you are not trying to set up systems of privilege and opportunities of privilege, well then is generation upon generation of sufferers and hustlers, is that the legacy that you want to establish? And then
Sufferers don't care about country.
You revel with pride.
Don't care about race.
Right? You revel in pride at your ability to survive absent privilege. And then you're vexed when people how? Now again,
Sufferers don't care.
in terms of the parency thing, only please be mindful. While people are entitled to react the way that they do,
Right.
it is not absent cost. Please speak to your kids about being responsible. Please speak to your adults, your partners, etc. about being responsible in the way that they communicate, where they're going and what they're doing. Because we have people who just panic the nation and have people looking for them and divert resources to, trying to find a whereabouts. when these people were on little runaways and getaways and that type of thing. And then when somebody is in a legit need of assistance, we would have been cultured to believe that, well, we can't worry about them being missing yet because youth them age just do these types of things.
Not in this climate, brother.
Right? What I'm saying is, please try to nurture a relationship with your kin. That no go, we ain't go big bad, we ain't go cry wolf now. That we ain't gonna have people crying wolf, such that when there's a legitimate need, nobody takes it on, nobody bothers to share the flyer, nobody bothers to raise the uproar.
And let me add to that. Ricardo always says to parents that you're not raising children, you're raising future adults. Right? But also you need to build that level of relationship and trust with your children that they are comfortable to talk to you about things. Develop systems. Now, I'm not saying put a tracking device in a child's phone, or the other day I see somebody putting a tracking device in the husband's shoes. I'm not saying to go to that extreme. But build a level of conversational awareness within your relationship that your partner feels comfortable to talk to you about things. Talk to you and say, hey, me and the boys going out tonight. And I'm talking from a male perspective here. Me and the boys going out tonight. You might say go in place A, but they end up in B. And the first time you tell you, yeah, we leave home to go place A, but we end up in place B, don't come down and say, why you end up there? Let them feel comfortable to tell you and communicate a change in location or alignment plans. Because if something happened and he in place B, you going and be sitting down home easy, thinking nothing. That's not my husband. He in place A. Let him feel comfortable to tell you about changes in location. Let your wife feel comfortable to say, babe, we left home to go to the hairdresser and afterwards we end up going to bottomless mimosas. Let those things, if your child say, daddy, I went to the cinema to watch X movie and we end up in a place playing football after, let your children feel comfortable to tell you those things and don't make them feel like it's wrong to do something else. However, you also have to establish the boundaries. I just putting that part in there too, for a complete statement. But the thing is, let the openness and communication flow so that it will put you at ease knowing that the accident that could have happened, that might have happened by Shogunas, is not my child or my husband or my wife, because I know they in place X. Right? With all that being said, we are almost to the hour 7 p.m. and Mr. Desmond is already here, ready to hit you that great big band music that he does each and every Tuesday night. I just posed this question as I leave, my parting words. I know there's a need or a want of society to procure these FUL licenses, right? But I asked the question and you all could answer in the comments either now, you could call me on Friday, or you could comment on DJ Aaron 868 YouTube page, or tweet me or send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, wherever it is. When they procure a firearm user's license, where do they procure the guns? Are there gun stores in Trinidad and Tobago? And this is me asking from a total place of not knowing. And no, I'm not trying to procure a firearm for myself. But I'm just trying to understand, because next week, when we're in studio for the birthday special, as we would call it, we'll talk about, we could go a little bit further than that, right? This is yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code. And I also tell you that love is the currency. So spend some today. Let somebody know you love them, guys. Carlo?
Yo, this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the global stage. Thank you for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains. So whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. Okay? So Mr. Desmond is up next. Right.
Catch me again on Friday. Friday we doing this kind of park segment, huh? So 2 hours at Kaiso Friday night. After 35 minutes at Iowa. Yeah, all the people are extra 5 minutes.
All right, nice one.
Yeah. All right. So keep it locked.